YouTube community, Franz Ferdinand fans, random people on the internet. My name is Giggens, and we're here today to talk about the brand new Franz Ferdinand album, The Human Fear. I can't believe I've been following this band for over 20 years now. It kind of blows my mind to think that that first record came out in 2004, and I've been following them since day one, since that album came out. I've been a huge fan. They're one of my favorite bands, and nothing has slowed them down, whether it's member changes or the times are changing or their sound is changing. They've always got that hunger, and they're always hungry to prove something. And that couldn't be more evident on this new album, The Human Fear. This album is about accepting the things that scare you, or understanding the fears that you have and how to move forward with them, or learning new tools to better get through the scary things that kind of are impacting your life. Some of the songs on this record date back to before their last album, which I can't believe Always Ascending was like, it feels like 1,000 years ago at this point. But some of these songs date back to that time. Some of them are brand new. Some of them they've been writing right now, which are coming out for future albums. They're always in flux. Anyways, this is their first full album with this version of the band with Audrey on drums. She joined the band right when they were putting out that Greatest Hits album, so she's on Curious and Billy, which I loved those songs on that record. And it was really cool to have a Greatest Hits album from Franz Ferdinand. I mean, they have a lot of hits, and that album plays through so well. So it's been a few years since they put out a new studio record, and I can't believe that Julian and Dino have been in the band for, at this point, like 8 or 9 years. It feels like yesterday that they joined, but it's truly incredible. But anyways, their idea was, going into this project, was to make an album that sounded like Franz Ferdinand. They loved the Greatest Hits record, and they're like, where can we go from here and make something that sounds so like ourselves? And I think when you give yourself that objective, naturally, you have the idea of like, all right, what would Franz Ferdinand do in this situation? So you still experiment. You're not making the same album over and over again. You kind of know where you want to go for your comfort levels, and then push yourself into different places from there. And that's the mark of a good musician, when you understand who you are and where you come from, but also wanting to expand your sound. The first track on this record and the debut single, Audacious, I love this song. I love that it's got this sort of chirpy, upbeat kind of feel during the verses, and the chorus slows it down a little bit, but takes on this huge, epic, grand, sweeping feel. You know, it's a song about like not letting the world get you down, like still keep believing in yourself, no matter how bad things are out there. You can still do things in your little community or inside your own head to make things better. So don't let the world crush you. Don't lose that fire within yourself. It's a classic Franz Ferdinand song through and through. I love the classic sort of robotic-esque guitar phrases that they do, and the drums are super smooth on it, but the hooks are there. And that's something Franz Ferdinand has always been really great at, is writing a good, catchy hook. And that's something they pride themselves on too. Alex has gone on record to say he loves a good melody. There's nothing wrong with that. You want to be able to sing along to something, including stuff that you've written. So they nailed it with this song. Great introduction to the record, and a great way to start the album. Everyday Dreamer follows that up next, and I really dig this one too, because it's about not losing the daydreaming aspect of your life. You know, we're told when we're kids not to daydream because it's sort of like an idle thing, but I think as you get older, you realize that daydreaming leads to a lot of creative aspects. Sometimes you hit on a project you didn't know was in your brain, or maybe you figure something out in your personal life that, you know, if you were talking about it, wouldn't work. But if you sit there with your own thoughts and just think about something, it can happen. I love the synths on this thing, typical classic Franz Ferdinand sound, but it's a really chill song with a comforting delivery. Basically a track where daydreaming is not only essential to your mental health, but could be incredibly constructive. The Doctor follows that up next, and this is a fascinating take on, you know, like the attention that you do get if you're a patient. Like, the doctors and the nurses will look after you, get you all your food, they're going to ask you questions, they're going to be on top of you, making sure you're okay. And, you know, sometimes that might feel kind of comforting if you're a bit lonely. And, you know, Alex, I saw an interview recently where he was talking about this song. I guess he was sick as a kid. And, you know, when you get to the point where you have to leave the hospital or leave the doctor's office, you're kind of like, well, wait, am I really cured yet? Am I really okay? Like, do I have to leave? Like, because this is where this feels good. This one kind of gets more aggressive as it goes along, and I like the honesty and how vulnerable it is, because kind of expressing that you enjoy attention can have it could be kind of a hard thing to express because on one hand, you're kind of like, some people could take it as a bit showy, like, oh, he wants, he wants all the attention. But on the other hand, it could be like, you know what, I feel like really lonely. And like right now, everyone's like actually paying attention to me and making me feel important and taking care of my vitals. This is kind of nice. So it's kind of a tough road to cross because attention seeking can come across as a bit full of yourself, but maybe it comes from a much more honest place sometimes, and maybe there's nothing wrong with that. Hooked is a fascinating song with some really good, hungry, growling, synthy-esque feeling riffs, which apparently aren't actually synths at all, but guitars fed through other devices, which is kind of fascinating. This one lyrically is apparently about Alex becoming a dad and discovering a whole new version of love that you didn't know was there or existed, where people were like, hey, you're gonna, discover a new version of love when you have your kid. And, universally that must be understood, but I guess until it really happens to you, you don't really know how you're gonna feel about it. I'm not in that state, so I don't know what that's like, but I've had friends that have had kids, and it changes you. You look at the world differently. It's a whole different experience. It's a really hypnotic, dancey track that almost sounds a little weary, but it's also super optimistic in its weariness. Like it kind of enjoys the apprehensiveness or the like unexpectedness of what might happen, which is to be expected for a first-time parent. Like you don't know what the hell's going on. Build It Up is a really cool song too. I like this one because it's about open communication and talking to each other, and we live in a world where constantly that's becoming less and less of a thing, and it's more and more focused online, which has its benefits, of course. But, when you lose that ability to talk to somebody in person and really empathize or sympathize or just be an ear to listen, that art is dying. And I feel like people are going to have an even harder time expressing to other human beings their feelings because reciprocating emotions will become a thing of the past, and just displaying emotions will be a sort of misunderstood art form because you'll have all these experiences you want to talk about, but will anybody listen? Will anybody care? Will anybody want to interact with you when you talk about them? So maybe I'm diving way too deep into this song, but it really feels like the end of an era. So if we can at least try to talk to each other about anything, I think you can discover that things could be a lot different and a lot better. I feel like musically with this song too, it's a bit on the lighter side, which kind of is a good juxtaposition because the lyrical depth of this thing is pretty heavy. Then we come to an album highlight for me, one of my favorite songs of the album, and one of my favorite songs by Franz in recent memory, Night or Day. This is just an absolute masterclass in playing. Apparently Alex came up with this piano riff that took him quite a while to get, and then Julian just ran with it. And it's something that they've been working on for a very long time, years in fact. They've had it sitting around, going through different versions before landing on this final one. And I really, really dig the energy on this one. It's just so open and honest. I love the storytelling of this song because it's like, no matter how crazy things get, like as long as you have each other, like, maybe this is about a specific relationship. And as long as these two people have each other at any time of the day, it doesn't matter what's happening outside. As long as we're together, we're okay. The song is so energetic and so full of spirit and so lovingly played, and you feel the room on this one. You totally get the vibe of like they were really gelling on this one. They knew something special was happening with this track, and it's an absolute Franz classic. This is going to be one of those ones that goes down in their discography as one of the best songs they ever did. Tell Me I Should Stay is a really different song for them, but also very Franz at the same time. It's like, about those last few precious moments you have with somebody before you have to say goodbye. And you know how incredibly hard that is to do. And like you both know it's coming, but you don't want to accept it. I love how sad, but also yet kind of cheery this song is. I love the timpani-esque drums on this thing. I love the way it builds as it goes. The more I listen to it, the more it becomes one of the more memorable tracks on the record. Cats comes up next. And this one is about a conversation I guess maybe the group was having, or they were having a chat with somebody else. And someone was telling them that people are either cats or dogs. And, we look at cats, we think they're pretty on their own and they don't really need anybody. And dogs are the ones who are always coming up and wanting hugs or pets. And, trying to figure out if people really are that easily classified, or if you have mannerisms of both animals. Black Eyelashes is a pretty in-depth look at genealogy and understanding where you come from and wondering how you match up with your your roots. You know, for this one in particular, Alex has said that he was in Greece because he's of Greek origin, and he was trying to figure out like how he fits in with Greece. And yeah, it's a kind of a trippy thing because if you grow up somewhere else, but you know that your family's from somewhere else, you kind of have this understood identity that you are of the place that your ancestry is from. But, you know, I've only ever been American, but I know my family goes back to England and Sweden and, you know, for other places. But, like, you know, I'm sure if I went to either of those countries, I'd feel like a fish out of water, even though my family came from there. Bar Lonely, for me, feels like the most easygoing Franz Ferdinand song in a while. It feels like one of those ones that came out probably pretty naturally. You know, one that can work really well acoustic, one that can work really well on the road. It's just got that vibe of being like a really good, solid set song. But it's apparently about a real place in Tokyo, and you know, it's got some pretty sad origins as to this particular place and why this bar exists. But you know, it's one of those story songs where you meet people and you're in situations and you just kind of pick up on what's happening, and then you go back home and write about it, and sometimes it makes for some really amazing work. The last song on the record, The Birds, is a fascinating song and one of the most weird and energetic things they've done in a long time. A song that I wish went on for longer. They could have jammed this thing out for another 2 minutes and I would have been all in on it. But it's a song about like social rejection and wanting to just fit in amongst the birds, amongst everybody else, just floating around doing your thing. You know, no one really knows you're there. You're just kind of there happily, you know, anonymous. And finding comfort in that anonymity. But musically, it grows, it expands, it chugs along, and it's one of my favorite moments in the album for the drums because Audrey knows where to keep it light and then to jump in right in the perfect moments, and like right when it gets zany, she knows when to put in these fills that work so well. She's such an excellent drummer. And I'm really glad she's in the group now. I really like where the group is now, where they're going, because they're still providing fascinating music to listen to that's hooky and catchy, but also leaves something in your brain lyrically. Franz Ferdinand's The Human Fear is definitely something that was worth the wait for sure. I really enjoy it, and the more I go back to it, the more I find myself enjoying songs that maybe I hadn't enjoyed as much before. And I think that's the mark of a good album, because there's something about this record that keeps pulling me back in, and I'm enjoying it every time I do that. It's catchy, it's fun, I love the vocals on it, I love how spirited it is. You can tell they really put their all into this one. I really would love to see the guys play this year in concert. They're coming around to my area within a few months, and I would love to hear all these new songs played live too. I got to see them in about 2017, I think, and they were playing stuff from Always Ascending at that time, which was really cool. But it'd be really cool to check these songs out live. So with that, I'm feeling a 7 out of 10. Only because the last couple songs like Cats and Black Eyelashes lose me a little bit. I don't find them as interesting as the other songs, but that's just personal taste, and I'm just some random dude on the internet, so it doesn't really matter what I have to say. And knowing me, I'll probably come back in a month and love those songs. It might become my favorites on the record, which happens fairly often when I review something. Which is, it's exciting, and that's what I like about music, is that it changes and you change, and you never know what you're gonna like next. So yeah, I'm really digging this album a lot. I've been playing it a lot. I'm really enjoying it. And I think you guys would too. So I haven't seen too much press about this in like the music blogs and the music world. So I really want to throw my hat in the ring to promote this thing, because I think it's a great album. And I just really enjoy Franz Ferdinand's music, and I have for 20 years now. 20 years, oh my God. So that's it. My name is Giggens. Thank you so much for watching. If you have anything you want to say about the record, just leave it in the comments below. We'll chat about some Franz Ferdinand, particularly the new album. I'd like to chat about this new record and what your favorite songs are. But until then, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you guys in the next video. See ya. Bye.